Welcome back to another class on Evean Hazaer Halacha series. We are in Siman Aleph in Halacha Yud in the Pitchit Teshuva in Ot Tetvav. This will be part 12M of the Shi'ur. Today we have a beautiful case. Reuven and Shimon are brothers. Shimon is married to Sarah. Shimon dies without having any children from Sarah. Sarah, as we know, falls to Reuven, which is her husband's brother. He becomes a Yavam, she becomes a Yevama. Two things Reuven can do. He can either go ahead and do Yibum, which is technically marry Sarah, or to do Chalitza, which is to release her. In our particular case, in this scenario, we're going to be dealing with Chalitza. Why? Because the Pitchit Teshuva is going to explain that Reuven found another girl after she fell to him and he wants to actually marry the other girl. So that's why we're going to stick with Chalitza. But that is not the main problem. Our problem is going to be over here like this. Sarah's property is great from her husband's estate. Shimon left Sarah a lot of wealth. However, the brother Reuven doesn't want to do Chalitza for free. He wants something in return. Reuven says, listen, you want to go ahead and you want to go free to be able to marry other men? You need the Chalitza, pay me for it. I know my brother had a lot of money. Give me half of his estate. Give me something, but I'm not letting you go for free. As long as Reuven does not give Sarah Chalitza, Sarah's not able to go ahead and get married to any other men. So in a way, Reuven is holding her hostage. However, Rabotai, but Sarah refuses. She doesn't want to even give him one penny. Why? Thinking that Reuven can't marry without first doing Chalitza. That is her take. She says, you want to hold me hostage? I'll hold you hostage. Because if you don't want to give me the Chalitza for free, good, so I won't do the Chalitza. And now you can't also get married. So basically Sarah thinks she's holding him hostage. Now we're going to go ahead and try to understand this case. What is the halacha going to tell us? Can Reuven go ahead and marry the new girl that he met? Or are we going to tell him, listen, Sarah has a strong point. Maybe you should give her the Chalitza first because we're afraid of the Cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom. Or are we going to say in this situation, the Cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom is not going to be applicable, and we're going to go ahead and allow him to marry. So let's see this Pitchit Teshuva inside. Ubeteshuvat Chatam Sofer Evean Hazaer Chelek Aleph Siman Aleph. In the response of the Chatam Sofer in Evean Hazaer in part 1 in chapter 1, he was asked regarding Odot about Bachur ben Isrim. There was a boy who was 20 years old. Shenafla lefanav Yevama. A Yevama fell to him. Here we go, Rabotai. Sarah fell to him. Let's say Reuven is 20 years old. V'richusha rav b'nichesei achiv. However, Sarah's assets, Sarah's estate is a lot because of her husband. And she refuses, and she does not want to go ahead and do the Chalitza, unless Reuven goes ahead and he does the Chalitza for free. Why does she think she has that upper hand? Because she thinks it is forbidden for him to marry another woman until he first goes ahead and does Chalitza. And the Bedin does not have the power to go ahead and establish, according to the customs of the communities, like it's explained in chapter 165, in Halacha 4 in the Ramah over there. Now before we do continue, I want to see this piece inside with you just to get a better understanding. Let's just see it one more time from the top. What is going on over here? Sarah thinks she has leverage on Reuven. She says, Reuven, if you don't give me the chalitza for free, you can't get married. You first have to give me, and then you're going to go ahead and get married. And then the Pirkei Teshuvah says, and the Bedin, they don't have the power to enforce the customs of the community. What does that mean? So we're going to have to go to Shulchan Aruch in Siman Kuf Samach Hey, in Halacha Dalet in the Ramah. I'm not going to read the whole Ramah, nor am I going to read the Shulchan Aruch. I just want to read partial of the Ramah, what he says over there. The Ramah says like this. V'hu adin, the same halacha is going to apply. He's referring back to the Shulchan Aruch, but I want to focus on what the Pirkei Teshuvah wants to point out on. Leman da Amar, according to the one that says, mitzvat chalitza kodemet. There's an opinion that says you should first go ahead and try to give chalitza than rather doing yibum. Even though you're not allowed to force the guy to go ahead and do chalitza, even though we can't force the guy to go ahead and do the chalitza, meaning to release her, you need to give her the ketubah, whatever the amount of the ketubah was when his brother married her, miyad, immediately, share dina ki chalutza, because the law is as if she is already released. All this that we just said is according to the letter of the law. But I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on the next 3 lines. However, the communities they instituted, takana, an institution, if the Yavam and the Yevama, they're going to be happy with the chalitza, they both understand that they both want to go their separate ways. Listen to this carefully. Yachloku kol hanichasim. They should go ahead and they should divide all their assets, all their estate. Half, 50-50. Shenich, that the brother left behind. Vafilu en magia hachatzi likedei ketubah. Even though when you go 50-50, it's not going to reach the value of her ketubah. I will explain. And not only that, we're going to go there, we're going to subtract from her portion whatever she spent in her husband's lifetime. So let's do like this. Okay, Rabotai, I'm going to erase this. I hope you guys have this question. It's very simple. Okay, let me just erase this. I want to just show you something. Let's say when the husband went ahead and he got married to his wife, let's say that his ketubah that he promised her, let's say Shimon's ketubah that he promised Sarah was 100,000. Now, when he died, he left her in a state of, which are the nichasim. He left her 180,000. I'm just, Rabotai, making up random numbers. 180,000. So now we say that the institution of the community, in order that there shouldn't be any awkward feeling, that there shouldn't be any resentment one towards the other, they went ahead and they said, listen, let's make a pashar, let's make a compromise. 50-50. Reuven, you're going to get 50% of the estate. Sarah, you're going to get 50%. Since you both agreed that you both want to go your separate ways. Right? Because they both want to go separate ways. The problem is, Rabotai, when you look into the estate, it's 180,000. If I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to divide this right now. Each one comes down to 90,000. So Sarah's receiving 90,000. And Reuven is getting 90,000. But the problem here is, it does not reach the amount of her ketubah. Comes the Ramah in Siman Kuf Samach Hey in Halacha Dalet, he says no problem. It doesn't have to reach the amount of her ketubah. That's point number 1. Point number 2 comes to remind. He says, not only that, not only are we going to go ahead and we're going to divide the estate, but what are we going to tell you? Whatever money that she spent in her husband's lifetime, you have to subtract from here. So let's say she spent, let's just for argument's sake, let's say $40,000. That's how much she spent, $40,000. That means she's left with $50,000. And this $40,000, we're going to go ahead and we're going to give it back to the Yevama, to Reuven. So that means he's right now, he has the upper hand of $130,000. Okay, Rabotai, so one more time. If her ketub is $100,000 and the estate, which is Nichasim, are $180,000, we're going to go ahead and we're going to divide them both. We're going to divide the estate to 50-50. Even though the estate, the division of the estate does not reach the amount of her ketubah, not a problem. That's point number 1. Point number 2, we're going to see how much money she actually spent. If she spent in the husband's lifetime, before he died, $40,000, we're going to subtract it from her portion of 50%. So now she's down to $50,000 and he gets the $40,000. So automatically, Rabotai, overall, he's winning much more. But what do I want to show you over here? So this is basically the piece that we wanted to see. Now, knowing this, we can understand the Pitchei Teshuvah better. What did the Pitchei Teshuvah says? What did the Pitchei Teshuvah say? Excuse me. The Pitchei Teshuvah said that she wants to go ahead and she wants to do the chalitza for free. She doesn't want to give him anything because she thinks he cannot get married before giving her the chalitza first. But comes the Pitchei Teshuvah and he says these word language, this lashon, this language. Ve'en biyad bedin lahamid al dat takanot hakihilot. And Bedin does not have the power to go ahead and institute this institution. Because we clearly see you could do it. So why isn't Bedin doing it? Now we have to, if we look very carefully into the Pitchei Teshuvah, the Pitchei Teshuvah says she doesn't want. Now that's a very big problem. Because this whole institution that we mentioned, what did the Rama say? That's only if Sarah and Reuven want, then we move on to this equation. But if Sarah says, I don't want, I want, I don't want to, why do I have to give you anything? I want to go with my 100,000. Why do I have to give you anything? Why do I have to give you $1? So now, since she refuses, so this whole takana, this whole institution is out the window. So that's what the Rama is telling us. That's what the language is. Bedin is not able to go ahead and apply this enactment because she refuses. Remember, this whole thing is done in order to make a compromise between them. They both want to go ahead and come to agreement. Okay. So he says like this one more time. And Bedin does not have the power, does not have the capability to go ahead and establish according to the customs of the community. Like in our case, we understand why, because she refuses to do so. However, continues the Pitchei Teshuvah and he says, however, the Bachur, this boy, Reuven, he went and he did a shidduch. He got engaged to another girl that is proper for him. Now he asks, can he go ahead and can he marry his fiancée? Because if the rabbis are going to tell him you're allowed to go ahead and marry the fiancé, maybe now Sarah's going to back out. Maybe she's going to give him what he wants because now he's able to get married. And he asks, can he go ahead and get married to his fiancé? And now the Yevama, Sarah, is going to be forced to go down from her position to the opinion of the Torah in order to go ahead and do the chalitza. Because now, once she knows he could go ahead and get married, so now she's not holding him back. So she's going to say, what am I doing? How am I getting anything from this? I might as well just go ahead and give him the chalitza. Even if it comes at a price, because by not having the chalitza, she could never get married. So she's not winning. He's winning. So that was the question. The question is one more time, can Reuven go ahead and get married in order for Sarah to back down and go ahead and give in to the demand of Reuven. He lengthened over there in the words of the Chacham Tzvi in Siman Kufta Zayin Hanichtav La'el in chapter 1:16, which was written above. Ubenidon Hasheila, and in the case of our question, Ha'elah, he concluded, Lahatir lo lisa mishudechet shelo la'acher hatra'at mebedin kira'ui. Says like this. The Chacham Tzvi, he went after he lengthened in the words of the Chacham Tzvi in Siman Kufta Zayin. He says, and in our case of what we're dealing with now, he concluded that he's allowed to go ahead and he's allowed to marry his fiancée. However, that's only after the bedding goes ahead and they give her the proper warning. They go and they tell her, listen, Sarah, you have to understand, he wants something, give it to him. Because with you or without you, meaning with him giving you the chalitza, without him giving you the chalitza, he's getting married. So now, Sarah's going to have to take into consideration, if he's getting married, so I'm not holding him basically as hostage, so what's the point? Let me just give him because now it's better for me. So that's number one. So that's what he tells you over here. That he concludes, the Chacham Sofer says, after he looked into the Teshuvot of Chacham Tzvi, he says, and he came back and he concluded in our case, that is mutar for Reuven to go ahead and get married, but only after Bedin warns Sarah about the whole situation. However, continues the Pitchei Teshuvah and he says, U'bo'oifin sheya'amid aravut u'b'shavua. However, in a situation, when are we going to allow him to get married? In a situation where we're going to have a guarantor for him and where he's going to go ahead and he's going to swear. Immediately after Sarah wants to go ahead and do the chalitza, she sees she has nothing to gain and everything to lose. Now she says, listen, whenever she comes to understand that I want to go ahead and give the chalitza, immediately after she wants to go ahead and stand before Bedin, that's in their city, or whichever one is going to make both of them happy, they both have to, or they both agree to a certain Bedin, he's obligated to go ahead and give her the chalitza. He's obligated to stand in court. Anything that comes out from the Bedin's mouth, he has to do and he has to fulfill it. He has to go ahead and do chalitza immediately after this without any holding her back. Comes out over here that when are we going to allow Reuven to go ahead and marry his fiancée? That is specifically, number one, if Sarah is warned by the court, listen, you have everything to lose and nothing to gain. She's still stubborn. We're going to say, Reuven, go get married. But we should know we need a guarantor who's going to be able to say to us that Reuven is going to go ahead and give her the chalitza once Sarah is ready. And not only that, Reuven has to also swear that immediately when Sarah is ready to go ahead and stand before court, whether her court in their city or the court that they both decide upon, he's obligated to go ahead and listen to what the court has to say, and he has to do exactly what they say. For example, if Reuven wanted half of the estate, and now she doesn't want to give half of the estate, so now the Bedin is going to tell him, listen, okay, don't give him half. At least Reuven, let's go one more time. If Reuven and Sarah, now they're standing in front of court, and the court says to Sarah, listen, you don't want to give him half? Fine. Give him 30%. Give him 20% of your estate. Whatever the Bedin is going to say, he has to follow it according to the letter of the law. Even though now he's losing, because really, in reality, he could have gotten much more. If he wanted, he could have gotten the whole estate, because as long as he doesn't give her the chalitza, she is not technically divorced, and she can't do anything. She's basically like an aguna. She could never get remarried. So even though now is held against Reuven, nevertheless, we're going to tell Reuven, listen, if we're going to come to a compromise with Sarah, that she wants to give you 20% of the estate, you have to listen to us. If he says fine, etc., and so on and so forth, if he's going to go out and he's going to do exactly like that after this whole thing is done, after he receives the compensation, he has to go ahead and immediately give her the chalitza. But, Rabotai, we did ask a question. Let's just see the question and the answer. If Sarah fell to Reuven, Can Reuven marry his mishudechet? Can he marry his fiance? We're going to tell you, yes, he can go ahead and marry the fiance, but under 1 and 2 conditions, like we saw. Bedin has to warn Sarah, you have everything to lose, nothing to gain. Number 1. Number 2, Bedin has to go ahead and make sure that Reuven, we have a guarantor. We have a guarantee that Reuven's going to want to give her the chalitza after, because we don't want him holding her hostage. And he also has to swear that once she's ready to stand before court and go ahead and compromise on the settlement, even if the settlement is not like what Reuven wants, even if it's below his number that he was asking for, Reuven has to swear that he's going to go ahead and he's going to follow what the Bedin says. After the compensation is paid out, he has to immediately give her the chalitza. If all this is met, we're going to tell you Reuven is allowed to go ahead and marry his fiance.